The message arrived on Earth during the midnight shift at Central Command. Admiral James Morrison stared at the holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of emergency alerts. Nova Haven, humanity's most distant colony, had gone dark. 3 million souls, gone in an instant. The Ziraxian Empire claimed it was a simple misunderstanding. Their automated defense systems had detected an unauthorized expansion in their claimed territory. Protocol had been followed. Cleansing had been initiated. They offered their perfunctory apologies and suggested humanity be more careful about where they established colonies in the future. They expected humanity to accept this explanation, to bow their heads and retreat. After all, humans were merely a developing species in their eyes, barely worth noting in the grand archives of galactic civilization. The Ziraxians, with their million-year history and seat on the Galactic Council, saw no reason to treat this incident as anything more than a minor diplomatic inconvenience. They didn't know about Operation Shadowfall. Deep within the Sol system's asteroid belt, beneath the ice sheets of Europa, and hidden in the storms of Jupiter, humanity's true fleet waited. 900,000 warships, each one powered by technologies the galaxy believed were centuries beyond human capability. For 50 years, Earth had maintained a facade of minimal military presence, while secretly preparing for the day they might need to defend themselves against the galaxy's elite species. In her private quarters aboard the flagship Nemesis, Fleet Admiral Elena Blackwood reviewed the final authorization codes. The ship's AI, projected a tactical display showing the positions of every vessel in the Shadow Fleet. "All ships report ready," Admiral Araya announced, her voice carrying a note of anticipation. Blackwood touched the silver pendant at her neck, a piece of debris from humanity's first interstellar colony ship. "Begin Operation Shadowfall," she commanded. "Initiate emergence protocols. All ships, prepare for simultaneous jump to coordinates Zeta 9. Across the solar system, hidden hangar doors slid open. Artificial asteroid fields dispersed, revealing the warships concealed within. Massive vessels rose from beneath Europa's ice, their black hulls absorbing all light. From Jupiter's storms emerged carriers and dreadnoughts, their engines glowing with controlled quantum fire. The Galactic Council's observation posts recorded nothing unusual. Their sensors, calibrated to detect known propulsion signatures, failed to register the advanced stealth systems humanity had developed. The first indication that something was wrong came when their long-range scanners detected a massive gravitational distortion forming at the edge of Ziraxian space. On the Ziraxian homeworld of Zyrix Prime, High Commander Vextol received the reports with dismissive amusement. "Another primitive species attempting to make a show of force," he declared to his advisors. "Deploy a standard defensive screen. Let them exhaust themselves against our superior technology." The smile died on his face as the first visual feeds reached his command center. The void itself seemed to tear open as humanity's fleet emerged from hyperspace. Not the few hundred ships they had expected, but hundreds of thousands. Each vessel bristled with weapons that defied Ziraxian understanding, their hulls decorated with a single phrase in multiple galactic languages. "Remember Nova Haven." Blackwood stood on her bridge, watching as the Ziraxian defense fleet scrambled to respond. Their ships, impressive against most opponents, seemed tiny compared to the wall of human warships stretching across space. "Send the message," she ordered. Across every communication channel, in every language used in the galaxy, humanity spoke with one voice. "You believed us weak. You thought us primitive. You killed 3 million of our people and expected us to accept your apology. Now you will learn why humanity has survived every challenge in its history. We do not start wars, but we finish them." The Ziraxian defense fleet opened fire. Their energy weapons, feared throughout the galaxy, splashed harmlessly against the human ship's shields. Blackwood allowed herself a small smile. "All ships, weapons free. Show them what humanity has been working on." The first volley from the human fleet demonstrated why they had spent 50 years preparing. Quantum-locked missiles phased through Ziraxian shields as if they didn't exist. Graviton beams collapsed enemy vessels into singularities. Technologies that the galaxy's elite species had deemed impossible or impractical became instruments of their destruction. As the battle unfolded, a message arrived from the Galactic Council, demanding an immediate cessation of hostilities. Blackwood had it played on all bridge speakers, letting her crew hear the panic in the Council's voice. They had finally realized their mistake. Humanity had never been defenseless. They had simply been patient. "Send our response," Blackwood ordered. The message was brief. "You will watch, you will learn, and you will remember why you should never have underestimated humanity." The battle for Zirix Prime had begun, and with it, the galaxy would learn that humanity's peaceful nature was not a sign of weakness, but a choice. A choice that the Ziraxian Empire, in their arrogance, had taken away. Now they would face the consequences of awakening humanity's full potential. The battle for Zirix Prime became a demonstration of warfare unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. As debris from the Ziraxian defense fleet drifted through space, High Commander Vextal ordered the evacuation of government facilities. His species had never faced defeat in their recorded history, until now. In the Galactic Council's emergency chamber, representatives from 100 species watched in horror as humanity's true technological capabilities were revealed. The Archon of the Melodian Sovereignty, oldest among the council members, gripped his ceremonial staff until his knuckles whitened. "Impossible," he whispered. "Their energy signatures. They've mastered quantum entanglement warfare." Admiral Blackwood's fleet moved with devastating precision. The human ships demonstrated technologies that the Council's scientists had deemed theoretical, or worse, impossible. Temporal shields that aged incoming projectiles to dust. Gravity lenses that bent enemy fire back upon itself. Dark matter drives that allowed ships to execute maneuvers that defied known physics. Second wave. "Commence Operation Twilight," Blackwood commanded. From the depths of subspace, another fleet emerged. These ships were different, smaller, faster, designed for atmospheric combat. The Ziraxians had hidden their military installations beneath the surface of their homeworld, believing them safe from orbital bombardment. They were wrong. Araya's holographic form flickered beside Blackwood. "Admiral, I'm detecting quantum signatures consistent with mass teleportation attempts. The Ziraxian leadership is trying to escape." "Not today," Blackwood replied. "Deploy the quantum lock. No one leaves until we're finished." A web of invisible energy spread across the Ziraxian system, created by devices humanity had spent decades developing. The same technology that had hidden their secret fleet now trapped their enemies. Every attempted teleportation, every emergency jump, every escape route, all failed. On the surface of Zirix Prime, Commander Marcus Chen led the ground assault. His troops moved through the streets of the capital city in powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. The Ziraxian military, for all their supposed superiority, found their weapons barely scratched the surface of humanity's defensive systems. "This is Sierra Actual," Chen reported through the neural link. "We've secured the central command. You won't believe what we found, Admiral. They've got detailed plans for attacks on 3 other human colonies. Nova Haven wasn't a mistake. It was a test." In her command chair, Blackwood's expression hardened. "Send everything to the Nemesis. Araya. Prepare a broadcast on all frequencies, all languages." She stood, her uniform pristine despite the chaos of battle. "To all watching species in the galaxy, we have discovered evidence that the destruction of Nova Haven was not an isolated incident. The Ziraxian Empire planned to systematically eliminate human colonies, believing we would be powerless to stop them." The broadcast continued, showing proof of the Ziraxian plans. Humanity kept its true strength hidden not out of fear, but out of hope. Hope that we could coexist peacefully with other species. That hope was betrayed. Let our response serve as a reminder. Underestimating humanity is a mistake you only make once. In the council chamber, The representatives watched as human forces systematically dismantled the military infrastructure of one of the galaxy's most powerful empires. The Melodian Archon turned to his colleagues, his voice grave. "We've misunderstood them completely. Their peaceful overtures, their seemingly primitive technology, it was all a facade. They weren't developing as we expected because they were developing in ways we couldn't imagine." On Xerix Prime, Chen's forces discovered something else. Records of other species the Xeraxians had accidentally eliminated. Younger races who had shown promise, wiped out before they could become threats. The Xeraxians had been culling the galaxy's population for centuries, and the Council had turned a blind eye. "Admiral," Araya announced, "we're receiving transmissions from 17 different species. They're offering evidence of Xeraxian aggression against their worlds. It seems we're not the only ones they underestimated." Blackwood nodded slowly. "Send acknowledgement to all of them. The galaxy is changing, Araya. The old powers thought they could maintain their control through fear and manipulation. They never considered that someone might be watching, waiting, and preparing to break their grip." The battle was effectively over. The Xeraxian military lay in ruins, their leadership captured, their secrets exposed to the galaxy. But this was only the beginning. Humanity had revealed itself as a force unlike anything the galaxy had expected, and the ripples of this revelation would reshape the cosmic order. In her private quarters later, Blackwood reviewed the casualty reports, surprisingly few, thanks to humanity's overwhelming technological advantage. She touched the pendant at her neck again, thinking of Nova Haven. "We revealed ourselves sooner than planned," she said to ARIA, "but perhaps it's better this way." The galaxy needed to learn that peaceful doesn't mean weak, and advanced doesn't mean wise. As the human fleet secured the Xeraxian system, messages poured in from across the galaxy. Some were threats, others pleas for alliance, and still others expressions of gratitude from species who had suffered under Xeraxian oppression. The Shadow Fleet had emerged, and with it, the balance of power had shifted forever. The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never felt so small. Representatives from across the cosmos huddled together, their previous hierarchies forgotten in the face of humanity's revelation. The Melodian Archon stood at the central podium, his ancient face lined with concern as reports continued to flood in. "The humans have released proof of systematic extinction events carried out by the Xeraxians," he announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. 17 species have come forward with evidence. 17 civilizations nearly wiped out, their survivors forced into silence by our complicity. Admiral Blackwood watched the Council's proceedings through a quantum feed aboard the Nemesis. ARIA had infiltrated their supposedly secure networks with embarrassing ease, another demonstration of how far humanity had advanced in secret. "They're finally beginning to understand," she murmured. "Show me the fleet status." A holographic display materialized, showing the positions of all 900,000 ships. They had split into 3 main battle groups, one securing the Xeraxian home system, another positioned near Earth as a defense force, and the third, the largest, holding position just outside the Council's core systems. Commander Chen's voice came through the neural link. "Ground forces have completed the seizure of all major Xeraxian military installations. Admiral, we've discovered something else. Weapons testing facilities. They were developing bioweapons specifically targeted at human DNA." The news sent a chill through the bridge crew. Blackwood's expression remained steady, but her grip on her command chair tightened. "Broadcast everything. Every scrap of evidence, every hidden facility, every secret project. Let the galaxy see what their vaunted leadership was planning." In the Council chamber, the revelations hit like a series of physical blows. The Xeraxians hadn't just been eliminating potential rivals. They had been preparing for systematic genocide on an unprecedented scale. Species after species stood to testify, sharing their own experiences of Xeraxian aggression. The Melodian Archon raised his hands for silence. "We must respond to this crisis with unity and..." His words cut off as a new hologram appeared above the chamber. Admiral Blackwood's image towered over the assembled representatives, her expression resolute. "You speak of unity," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "But for centuries, you have allowed the strong to prey upon the weak. You've hidden behind diplomatic protocols while entire civilizations vanished. That ends today." The third battle group of the human fleet moved into view of the Council's orbital platforms. 300,000 warships, each capable of reducing a planet to ash, took up attack positions. The Council's defense fleet, supposedly the most powerful in the galaxy, looked like toys in comparison. "Humanity hid its true strength because we wanted to believe in peace," Blackwood continued. "We wanted to trust in the system you built. But you proved that system corrupt. Now we offer the galaxy a choice." Multiple holographic displays appeared, showing the evidence gathered from Xerix Prime. The weapons facilities, the extinction records, the plans for future conquests. "You can accept a new order," Blackwood declared, "one where the strong protect the weak, where advancement comes through cooperation rather than conquest. Or you can follow the Xeraxians' example." In the depths of the Nemesis, Araya processed the reactions from thousands of worlds. "Admiral, we're receiving responses from 93 species. Most are smaller civilizations, previously under Council control. They're requesting protection, requesting alliance." The Council chamber erupted into chaos. Millennia of carefully maintained power structures were crumbling. Species that had been forced into submission saw an opportunity for freedom. Those that had abused their power faced a force they couldn't intimidate or control. Commander Chen's troops discovered more with each passing hour. The Xeraxians hadn't acted alone. Other Council races had participated in their experiments, their genocides, their plans for maintaining control. Humanity hadn't just exposed one corrupt empire. They had pulled back the curtain on a system of oppression that spanned the galaxy. "We should have seen this coming," the Melidian Archon whispered to his advisors. "Their history warned us. Every time humans faced extinction, they emerged stronger. Every time they confronted limitation, they broke through it. We thought we were watching an infant species, but we were watching something unprecedented. A civilization that grew stronger through cooperation rather than conquest." Blackwood stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, watching as the old order began to crumble. The pendant at her neck seemed heavier now, weighted with the responsibility of what humanity had undertaken. They had hidden their strength to avoid war, but now they would use that strength to forge peace. "Araya," she commanded, "prepare to receive delegations from all responding species. It's time to build something new from the ashes of the old system." The galaxy wanted to see humanity's true nature. Well, now they'll see what we do with power. We share it. The Shadow Fleet had emerged not just as a weapon of war, but as a force for change. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, Blackwood thought, that was exactly what it needed. The Council's emergency session had stretched into its third day when the first betrayal came. The Kraxan Directorate, one of the oldest members of the Galactic Council, attempted to launch a surprise attack on the human fleet. Their ships, hidden in fold space, emerged firing prototype weapons capable of destroying entire solar systems. They never had a chance to use them. Araya had detected the attack force hours before it emerged. Admiral Blackwood watched from the Nemesis as automated defense systems neutralized the Kraxan fleet in seconds. The weapons they believed would give them an advantage were based on technology humanity had mastered and discarded decades ago. "Interesting timing," Blackwood noted, reviewing the tactical display. "Araya, show me what else we've discovered in the Xeraxian archives about the Kraxan Directorate." The AI's holographic form nodded, projecting a series of documents. The Kraxans were the primary weapons developers for the Council's extinction programs. Their scientists designed the bioweapons found in the Xeraxian facilities. They're also responsible for the development of planetary sterilization techniques used on 17 different species. Commander Chen's voice came through the neural link. "Admiral, My team's just secured the last Zeraxian black site. You need to see this. The feed from his helmet camera showed massive stasis chambers, each containing preserved specimens from different species. They weren't just studying how to kill us, they were studying how we survive. They were afraid of us, long before we revealed our fleet. On the bridge of the Nemesis, Blackwood's expression hardened. Broadcast everything. Every specimen, every experiment, every victim. Let the galaxy see what their leaders were doing in the shadows. She turned to her tactical officer. And send word to the 3rd Battle Group. The Kraxan homeworld just volunteered to be our next demonstration. The human fleet moved with devastating precision. The Kraxan's legendary planetary defense network, built over thousands of years, failed in minutes. Their automated weapons platforms turned against them, compromised by human eye. Their leadership bunkers, buried kilometers beneath the surface, offered no protection against quantum phase bombardment. In the council chamber, the remaining representatives watched in horror as another of their powerful members fell. The Melodian Archon rose shakily to his feet. "We must sue for peace," he declared. The humans are not interested in your surrender." A new voice interrupted. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, not of Admiral Blackwood this time, but of Dr. Marcus Chen. His powered armor was still dusty from the surface of Zerix Prime. "We're interested in justice." The chamber's displays filled with evidence, recordings, documents, preserved specimens, centuries of authorized genocide, carefully hidden behind diplomatic protocols. The Council hadn't just allowed the strong to prey on the weak, they had systematically eliminated any species that showed too much potential. "We found it all," Chen continued, his voice cold. "Every species you erased, every civilization you stunted, every crime you committed in the name of maintaining order. Did you really think humanity spent the last 50 years just building ships?" The truth dawned on the assembled representatives like a cold wave. Humanity hadn't just been developing weapons. They had been gathering evidence. Every diplomatic mission, every trade delegation, every cultural exchange had been an opportunity to investigate, to collect proof, to prepare for this moment. Aboard the Nemesis, Araya reported a surge of communications from across the galaxy. "Admiral, we're receiving messages from 34 systems previously marked as uninhabited by Council records. It seems some of those extinct species weren't quite as extinct as reported. They've been hiding, waiting for an opportunity to reclaim their worlds." Blackwood smiled. "Send them our recognition and protection protocols. It's time for the Forgotten to return." She touched the pendant at her neck, thinking of Nova Haven. "Deploy the reconstruction fleets to any world that requests aid. Show them the difference between humanity's strength and the Council's." The human fleet split again, ships peeling off to protect emerging civilizations. The message was clear. Humanity's power would be used to shield, not to dominate. The Shadow Fleet had become a force of restoration, helping rebuild what the Council had tried to destroy. In their secure chambers, the Council's inner circle faced a horrifying realization. They had spent centuries maintaining their power through fear and genocide, only to be undone by the very qualities they had dismissed as weakness. Humanity's tendency to cooperate, to protect, to remember. "How did we not see this coming?" One council member whispered. "Their entire history warned us. They survived ice ages, plagues, world wars. Every time they faced extinction, they came back stronger. We thought their unity was a weakness, their compassion a flaw. We never considered that they might be the next step in evolution, a species that grows stronger by lifting others up rather than pushing them down." The Nemesis moved into position above the Council's capital world. Blackwood stood on her bridge, watching as the old order crumbled. "Send the final message," she ordered, "to all species, recognized or hidden. The age of extinction is over. The time for resurrection has begun." Across the galaxy, ships emerged from hiding. Species long thought lost returned to reclaim their worlds. The Council's carefully maintained hierarchy collapsed, replaced by something new. An alliance of survivors, protected by humanity's shadow fleet, united not by fear, but by a shared determination to build a better future. 1 year after the fall of the Galactic Council, the great chamber that had once housed the galaxy's self-proclaimed rulers hosted a very different gathering. Representatives from over 200 species, including 50 that had been thought extinct, assembled for the first meeting of the Galactic Cooperative. Admiral Elena Blackwood stood at the podium, her uniform now bearing the new insignia of the Cooperative's defense force. The pendant at her neck had been joined by others, fragments from each world they had helped rebuild, symbols of a promise kept. "A year ago, humanity revealed its true strength," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "Not in the ships we built, or the weapons we developed, but in our capacity to remember, to protect, and to rebuild. Today, we take the next step forward." Aria's holographic form appeared beside her, now networked with AI representatives from dozens of species. Together, they projected a massive display showing the transformation that had taken place across the galaxy. Where the Council had built weapons, the Cooperative had built hospitals. Where there had been sterilized worlds, there were now thriving colonies. Commander Chen, now Director of Restoration Projects, stood from his seat among the delegates. "The reconstruction of Nova Haven is complete," he announced. "But we didn't just rebuild what was lost. The survivors have been joined by refugees from 6 different species, making it the first truly multi-species colony in that sector. Where the Council sought to divide us, we have found strength in unity." The display shifted to show the former Zeraxian homeworld. The once militant empire had undergone a radical transformation. Under the guidance of their younger generation, who had long opposed their leaders' brutality, they had converted their weapons factories into research centers focused on healing the damage their species had caused. "We've confirmed that the last hidden cache of Council bioweapons has been destroyed," Blackwood continued. "But more importantly, we've established the Galactic Medicine Initiative. The same brilliant minds that once worked to understand how to destroy life are now working to preserve it. Yesterday, they announced a cure for a disease that has plagued the Melodian people for 10,000 years. The Melodian Archon, no longer speaking from a position of assumed superiority, nodded in acknowledgement. His people had been among the first to embrace the new order. Their ancient wisdom finally turned to the benefit of all. "But our work is far from complete," Blackwood said, her expression serious. "We continue to receive signals from the depths of space. More survivors, more hidden peoples, more chances to right the wrongs of the past. Humanity's shadow fleet, once built for war, has found its true purpose in protection and exploration." Aria projected a new set of images, the latest discoveries from deep space expeditions. "We've located 14 more species in suspended animation, hidden away by their own people when they realized the Council was targeting them. The revival process has begun, and soon they will be welcomed back into a very different galaxy than the one they left." The chamber erupted in applause as the first images of these awakening peoples were shown. But it wasn't just their revival that drew celebration, it was what they brought with them. Each hidden species had preserved their knowledge, their culture, their unique perspective on the universe. The galaxy was growing richer with each restoration. "Let this be the lesson that echoes through time," Blackwood declared. The Council believed that strength came from dominance, from the elimination of potential rivals. They couldn't understand that true power comes from unity, from the combination of different perspectives and abilities. They saw our human tendency to cooperate as a weakness, never realizing it would be their undoing. She touched the collection of pendants at her neck. "We built our fleet in secret not because we feared defeat, but because we hoped to avoid war entirely. When that hope was shattered with Nova Haven, we didn't just seek revenge, we sought justice. Not just for humanity, but for every species that had suffered under the Council's rule." The display showed the current deployment of the human fleet, no longer hidden, no longer a shadow force, but openly protecting trade routes, escorting exploration missions, and standing guard over recovering worlds. The ships that had been built for war had become the foundation of peace. Today we move forward together, Blackwood concluded. The galaxy once learned why they should never cross humanity. Now they're learning why they should walk beside us instead. The age of extinction is over. The age of resurrection, of cooperation, of unlimited potential, that age is just beginning. As if to punctuate her words, a new signal appeared on Aria's sensors. Far out in unexplored space, another beacon had activated, another lost species reaching out to rejoin the galactic community. The Shadow Fleet had revealed humanity's strength, but its true legacy would be the civilization it helped build from the ashes of the old order. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Never cross humanity, not because they would destroy you, but because they would show you a better way to live.